It's London Film and Comic Con 2018, day 3, Sunday. Ahoy everybody! So welcome to my video blog for day 3 of London Film and Comic Con 2018, the Sunday. I got home and I was so shattered yesterday, but it's now Monday that I'm recording this. So let's see. If you haven't already watched them, parts 1 and 2 of this video covering Friday and Saturday are available on my channel. But yes, this is covering Sunday. I got up a little bit earlier to try and get low VQ tickets for the people I'd missed on Saturday. So I got up at 4:30 instead of 4:45, and I left about 5:15 instead of about 5:30. I got to the venue about 10:50. The doors were meant to open at 7, so we were queued up outside. As it was, doors didn't actually open till it was nigh on 15:15, I believe. Which wasn't really an issue. It wasn't raining, thankfully. So we got in a queue, and I was, as we were all spread out at the start, I was just around the corner on the first bend. By the time we were all tightened up, I was about 2/3 of the way along the first column. I took a picture of the queue. If you watch yesterday's video, you'll see that I said I was going to try and remember to do so, and I did. So this is from the front of the queue about 20 minutes before opening, I think. This is how big the queue was. Usual rush up without running to get virtual queue tickets. Managed to grab them all quite simply. Had low numbers for everybody-ish. Lowest was 39. I had 51 for somebody, 52 for somebody, and 53 for somebody, coincidentally. Highest number I got was Peter Capaldi. I got number 116. More on that later. Had a scoot round, found where everybody was except one person, and that was my Diamond Pass guest for the day. So I was panicking. That was Christopher Eccleston. I did eventually find him. They tucked him away somewhere separate from everybody else. Just think they needed somewhere where they could stick an extra booth to hide him in. That was the most convenient spot. I don't think there was anything sinister behind it. Need to show you my Diamond Pass stuff for Christopher. So this is the pass itself. So Doctor Who shot on the front, and on the back, no, I don't. I'm not sure what that's from, to be honest. No. For him, it wasn't a print, it was a mug. I was expecting China mug, white with a photo printed round it. I know that's what they used to be like when they gave any mugs away with Diamond Passes. So I was quite surprised when I received a plastic frosted smoky, do they call that? Smoked plastic? Sorry, emails just come through. Smoked plastic mug. At first I thought it was just a generic London Film and Comic Con mug, and I thought, okay, oh well. But on the other side, it has a quote, which you probably can't read. So it says, because I'm struggling to read it, and it's Chris's doctor's last lines before he regenerated. So it's, "Before I go, I just want to tell you, you were fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and you know what? So was I, the 9th Doctor." Couldn't agree more. So that's nice to have. I'm not sure what I'll use it for, whether it will eventually get used as a mug. Who knows? Might just have stuff stuck in it, but I'm sure it will get used of some sort. Christopher was the first person I got. I took advantage of my Diamond Pass to get straight in to see him. Oh, unpopular. Might have to shut that down. Switch from... Yeah, I'll switch the speakers off. That should stop that. Yeah, so I took advantage of my diamond pass and went straight to Christopher, and I was in the first 20 or so people to meet him, which was handy. Although he's got a bit of a reputation of he can be grumpy, I've always heard he's been brilliant with fans, and although he's never... Oh, how can I put this? He's always been proud of being the Doctor and of his series, but he's never fully embraced the fandom side of it. He's always been really nice with fans, and he's done odd little bits. There was a brilliant clip a few years ago of him. He was eating in a restaurant, and a Doctor Who fan and his girlfriend were eating there, and I think it was her birthday, if memory serves, and Christopher came over in character as the Doctor and wished her a happy birthday and what have you, and he's done lots of videos for sick children and things like that. So he's, you know, he's been brilliant on that side of things, but obviously this is the first convention he's ever done. He stayed away from all the 50th celebration stuff, and also he's got a reputation within the business. He's done some interviews lately about lack of opportunities for northern actors and things like that, and his whole departure from Doctor Who, shrouded in a cloak of mystery, but is believed to be that he fell out with producers following an on-set accident in the first shooting block. So, as I say, but he's always had a reputation of actually being good with fans, so I wasn't expecting a bad experience, but knowing it was his first con, I didn't quite know how he'd be. As it was, he was lovely, taking time with everybody. I was wearing my Count Arthur Strong t-shirt, and he sort of looked at it, sort of trying to work out what it was. So I said to him, he said, "Oh, Count Arthur Strong, oh brilliant, I love Count Arthur Strong." And he turned to the people who were with him and said, "Do you know Count Arthur Strong? It's a radio show, well, it's on telly now, but the radio show is brilliant." So good to know that he's a fan of one of my favourites. So yes, he was really nice. Obviously got a Doctor Who picture signed, and this is it. Some people moaning because his signature isn't... It's sort of... I can't decide whether it's Chris, it just says Chris, or whether it is a Chrissy. Over the years, it's just, as you can see, you know, gone down to an indecipherable scrawl, and they say, "Oh, look, you're paying all that money, you should sign his full name." But if that's not his autograph nowadays, so why should he? You know, I don't get his. You know, you're paying for their autograph. Their autograph is their autograph, be it just a little squiggle or be it a massive full name. Some people vary it up depending on circumstances. I mean, in those cases, yes, in a signing show situation, I would expect whatever the fullest version of their signature to be. Lots of people over the years, the more they do, the more they sign, particularly the more they do conventions and things like that, their autograph gets shorter and changes dramatically. Gareth David Lloyd from Torchwood, I know his dramatically changed over the years. John Barrowman's got shorter and shorter, from John Barrowman to J Barrowman to J blah. It's dramatically reduced. Billy Piper, in different circumstances, sometimes she just signs Billy, sometimes it's sort of Billy P, sometimes it's Billy Piper. I recently got some signed stuff from her from a charity sale she did, but it was a nice full name, Billy Piper. But when it was in person, it was Billy P, more or less. So yeah, you know, yes, people do vary, but if there's always, as I say, you know, just a short signature, that is their autograph, that's what you're paying for. I don't really follow they should sign their full name if you're paying all that money. You're paying for their autograph. If that's their autograph, that's their autograph. Anyway, so yes, got Chris, and then had a little wander around just to see, you know, get the gen of how quickly people were signing. Saw that one more guest they'd put on virtual queue tickets because he had a big line, so I grabbed a virtual queue ticket for him, which wasn't an issue. And then I had 2 photo shoots starting at 10, a short one and Chris Eccleston's one, which was longer, so I wasn't concerned. But I also had one starting at 10:15, but that finished after Chris's, so I wasn't concerned there. And I had another one at 11:20, which was running to 11:50, which I might have got into based on my batch number, I might not have. Then I had another one at 11:45, so I had a bit of run of photo shoots there. So I went to the first one, the shorter 10 o'clock one, which was James Caan, to see that, as he had done on Saturday, he'd postponed, shall we say, the early photo shoot. I think he doesn't do mornings. I don't think he arrived till late any of the days. So he'd been moved to 1:30, which wasn't a major issue. He was meant to be from 1:30 to 1:55, and I had a shoot that ran from 1:50 to 2:05. So as long as he was on time, it wouldn't be an issue. More on that later. So instead I went straight to Chris Eccleston's. Again, I had the diamond pass, so I was right near the front of the queue. He was lovely in the shoot as well, you know, saying hi to everyone and thank you. And the girl in front of me was a girl in a wheelchair who he recognised even as she was queuing, as she'd been to see him in Macbeth. She was very distinctive due to her illness. But he said, "Oh, you came to Macbeth," and we had a chat, and he hugged her, and you know, so clearly a warm, friendly guy. Pleased with the photo, and this is it. So that, once I'd met him, that meant I have now met all the male doctors who are still alive, let's put it that way. The only doctor I haven't met, who, as I say, is still with us, is Jodie. And I'm sure time will come. Technically, she is the doctor already. She has been introduced on screen, but she's only just starting. Her proper doctorness hasn't started yet. So I'm sure in the next few years we'll get her, which will be great because I'm looking forward to her. Anyway, so that was Chris Eccleston. Then it was a dash over, sod's law, as these things always are. Photo shoot I had to go to was right on the other end of the building. But again, no problems. They hadn't even called, I was batch 1 and they hadn't even called that when I got over there. So they were still doing diamond passes and gold passes. So I had a little breather and then joined the queue to get to my photo with David Duchovny. Much as on Saturday, it was, you know, very production liney, but he said hi and he thanked me and smiled at me, and you know, it was as good an experience as you would expect in the circumstances, and he was fine. And this is my shoot with David. So then after David, what did I do? Because I got out of David with plenty of time, I still had about 3/4 of an hour, I think, before the 11:20 shoot. I headed round and had a look at the autograph queues to see what they were at, and thankfully I could get into 3 of them before the next shoot. So first up, I managed to get Rory McCann. Rory's best known as the Hound in Game of Thrones. Very funny, walking up, waiting for him. He was sat next to Peter Weller. If you've watched Saturday's video, you'll remember the incident with him shouting no photos because the bloke had the camera around his neck. I was, out of curiosity, watching Peter's queue as I was going up, and all of a sudden he stopped signing and he gets up and he calls over his agent, and he tried to walk out, but he went away. There wasn't a door to walk out of, so he turned round and he's with his agent and the security guard, and then he turns round and he shouts out again, top of his voice, "No photos! I can see you trying to take photos, trying to get selfies from the end." So Rory McCann, however tall he is, 7 foot-ish, I think. Actually, let's find out. Okay, he's not 7 foot. He's 6'5.5", 1.98 meters, nearly 2 meters tall. That's about he's tall. But he stood up anyway, and he's glaring as if he was the hound, basically. You know, while Peter's saying all this, and when Peter finished what he said, he just said, "Yeah, or I'll kill you," and sat back down. And well, everybody laughed. And Peter Ellis said, "Yeah, I'm paying him." So he stands back up and said, "I'd do it for nothing." Much laughter again. And then Colin Baker, who sat next to him, says, "Yeah, and I'll run away." Very good. Very enjoyed that. And a nice end to the Peter Weller story, shall we say. Then went up. Obviously, I was 2 or 3 people after that. Said how much I was, how happy. Oh, spoiler alert! If you haven't seen last 2 series of Game of Thrones, then what's wrong with you? But if you haven't, fast forward until I go like this. I said how pleased I was that the hound had come back, and he looked up and he said, "Yeah, so am I." To which we smiled and laughed. Okay, it's safe to come back now. Signed a photo, as you can see, a lovely little quote that he put on there. I didn't ask him to, he put it there spontaneously, but it made me laugh when I saw what he was writing. Yeah, really nice guy. This is the autograph. So then from Rory, I was able to get Stephen Moffat. Stephen is the exiting showrunner of the new series of Doctor Who. So he did all of Matt Smith's and Peter Capaldi's era. He also wrote stories in Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant's era. And as showrunner, he wrote a lot of episodes and script edited the others for all his time there. He's also co-creator of Sherlock with Mark Gatiss. He wrote the brilliant series Jekyll, Coupling, the comedy, Class, Press Gang. So long career of excellent TV. So he often attends just as a I'll say as a punter. I'm sure they don't charge him to come in, but he often can be seen walking around. In fact, I even saw him walking around on Saturday with his son. But yes, they finally managed to nail him down as a guest. He'd been a guest at the Sherlock events and at the Stan Lee Comic Con 2014, 13, whichever one that was. 14, I think. Him and Mark did a talk and a signing after that, but it was only for people who attended the talk, free signing. He wasn't a proper guest. But yeah, as I say, at last they got him as a guest. I was glad they had, because I wanted to meet him. It was really nice. It was, you know, cracking. He's a funny guy, and he was cracking jokes with everyone and making us all laugh. Very self-deprecating. Said, you know, I love all your work, but you know, I just want to say how much I really like Jekyll. And he said, "Oh, you're the one." And I said, "No, it was brilliant," you know. And he all the time he's sort of doing it down, putting himself down. But I think that's largely down to all the flack he's had, particularly through Doctor Who. And it's worn him down a bit, and so what do they say? Defence is the best form of attack, or something, or attack is whatever. Attack is the best. Basically, by putting himself down, it means nobody else can put him down. But yeah, he was a nice guy. Where we were chatting, he's forgotten to put the N on the end of my name, so I noticed it actually says to Marty rather than Martin. And he signed black on dark colour, which I'm not sure how visible it is in the scan, but this is what he signed for me. and he was doing table photos, so this is me with him. And then I scooted round and I was able to get Richard Wilson, best known of course as Victor Meldrew in One Foot in the Grave. He was in the Doctor Dances, and what was the other episode called? Brain's Gone Dead. The two-parter, the "Oh You My Mummy" episodes of Christopher Eccleston's series of Doctor Who. Doctor Dances, and I'll put it up here. He was Gaius in Merlin. What was his character name? And he's done so many other things as well. Memorably, Father Ted, where Ted and Dougal saw him at the caves he was visiting in Ireland, and decided it would be a really good idea to go up to him and go, "I don't believe it." I'm sure you're familiar with the clip, even if you're not a Father Ted watcher. It's always popping up on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. Yeah, really nice guy. Asked me where I was from, asked me if I was just there that day. I said, no, I'm here all 3. He said, oh, and he thought about it. He said, do you get it any cheaper for coming all 3 days? I said, yeah, it is a bit cheaper, I think. He said, oh, how much was it? I said, well, I think it was £65. I can't remember if that's correct, but if it's not, I'll put how much it was there, because it's not a secret. It might have been a bit more, I think. And he sort of looked aghast and said, it's not cheap, is it? I said, no, it's an expensive hobby. It really isn't cheap. I said, no, but it's worth every penny to meet people like you. And he said, oh. He said, but yeah, really nice guy. I did see him get a photo with somebody, but I didn't want to ask him. He's an old guy. He was walking with a stick. I didn't really want to put the added pressure on him, so I didn't get a photo with Richard. But yeah, I chose a Doctor Who picture. It was mainly Victor Meldrew ones. I'm not a hugest fan of One Foot in the Grave. It's all right. You know, I've always enjoyed it when it was on, but it's not the sort of series I would go out of my way to watch. I watched the last few, the two-parter I think it was, where he died. Spoiler. Just out of curiosity and historical value. But yeah, you know, as I say, I don't dislike it, but it's not a series that I want to get on DVD or anything like that. So I went for, as I say, they had Merlin pictures of course, but for my collection had to be a Doctor Who picture, and this is it. So then I went round to see how things were going with the shoot that was from 11:20 to 11:50. My batch was batch 2, which on the, when they release the schedule, they put on there what sort of batches they expect to be able to cover in that time band. So if they've got a morning and I was going to say a morning and an AM and a PM shoot, in the AMs they'll do diamonds, golds, and then depending on how long it is, they'll say batch 1, and then maybe 2 or 3, and then in the PM shoot they'll put everyone else. Obviously if they're just doing one shoot, then everybody's going to get seen in that shoot. But this was with Pearl Mackie, who was a Diamond Pass guest. I met her for the autograph on Saturday. I was batch 2, and that was a maybe on the list. So I wandered over to see what would happen. As it was, I got in no problems. I think most of the diamonds I got her on Saturday, so there was very few diamonds meeting her. So it was as I say, I got through no problems, so that made the afternoon a bit easier. So yes, photo of Pearl, she was lovely again, and this is it. And then I scooted round straight from there. I had another shoot from 11:45. Again, it was sort of on the other side of the building, but it wasn't an issue. And this was with Peter Weller. So as I said in yesterday's video, I was dreading this somewhat, and even more so, although he had the laugh about it. But after the incident when I was waiting for Rory, really wasn't sure what to expect. But he was quite nice in the shoot. He was being chatty, not chatty, but you know, he was saying hello and everything, which is more than he did on Saturday. And the girl in front of me, he was sort of looking as she walked up and said, oh, I'm just trying to work out what's on your t-shirt. Oh, it's me, you know, little things like that. So showed he has got a human side. and he's vaguely smiling in the photo, which I believe is a bit more than he was doing on Saturday. So this is it. This is me and Peter Weller. Then I headed round and managed to get another auto. This is the guest who I got the later virtual queue ticket for, because he was busier than I initially expected. Although they did have, sometimes when you get a virtual queue ticket for somebody who they didn't think would need them, it's either just got a letter on it or it's somebody else's who's cancelled and they cross through their names and write their name on it. But these were actually printed for Paul Kaye, so they obviously were in two minds as to whether he'd need them or not. And he did, but I still got through, by lunchtime, so it wasn't a major problem. Paul, I don't know what he's best known for. He was recently in Game of Thrones. He was in Three Girls, was it called? The recent drama about the Rotherham sex scandal. He's done lots of comedy work. He was in Doctor Who, the one where they trapped on the underwater base and Capaldi went back in time to the base before it was underwater to find out why it had sunk, and there was all these ghosts, and he was an undertaker in that, under a lot of prosthetics, so you probably recognise him from that. He first came to fame back in the mid-90s, where he played the comedy character Dennis Pennis, who was an American punky showbiz reporter who just insulted all the people he was interviewing, basically. And that's mainly what I spoke to him about. I said I'd been a fan since those days, and he sort of gave me a knowing look as if to say, yeah, that is a long time ago. And I said, do you ever wish, when you see some people nowadays, that you go back to doing it? And he said no. He said, as soon as I finished the last show, I said, that's it, I'm never going back again. I said, yeah, I'm guessing it must have been pretty stressful at times, because he could be really nasty to some of the celebrities he was meeting. I said, yeah, I'm expecting it could be pretty stressful at times. He said very stressful, and you have to have a heart of ice to be able to do it, I think was the phrase he used. I said, yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, really nice guy. Had a Game of Thrones picture signed by him, and this is it. I do like his signature, the way he sort of draws the square around his name. And he was happy to pose for a photo, and this is it. Then after Paul, it was photo shoot time. So this was the James Caan one that had been moved. So it was 1:30 by now. I'd had to wander around a bit because lunchtime had started, so people were vanishing off. Yeah, so 1:30 I headed over and got in. I was batch 1, wasn't I? Yeah, batch 1, so I wasn't concerned. Got in the queue, and then we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and I'm thinking, oh god, this is getting tight. So bear in mind I had a shoot that started at 13:50 but only ran for 15 minutes, and it was right on the other side of the building again. But, oh no. So I'm getting everything ready so that as soon as I've had the shoot I can just stuff it in my bag, and I had my ticket for the next one in my pocket so that I could just go straight over. At 10:02, when the other shoot was starting, the James Caan one finally started. And it started moving, and it was slow at first, but then it started picking up. Got through. He was sat on a stool. He was, he was saying hi and what have you. Had the photo, went round. It was passed to me, so that the flap was over James, and just my image was sticking out, which is how they did it at most of the stands, because it was easier for them to then pair it up with whoever's photo it was. So I just grabbed it, stuffed it in my bag, legged it over the other side. By now it was just before 2 o'clock, and as I say, this other one finished at 5 past. So I headed it over, made it just in time. I was the penultimate person in the queue, and that was for Ivana Milicevic. If you remember, I met Ivana on Saturday. Buffy, Bond, Love Actually, Banshee, etc. Speaking of which, James Caan, I'm not entirely sure I mentioned on yesterday's video or Friday's video who he is, because I assume everybody knows who James Caan is. But in case you don't, he was in The Godfather, he was in Rollerball, he's in Elf. He's proper classic Hollywood leading man actor. Anyway, back to Ivana. As they made it in, noticed somebody who was walking out had a huggy photo, and I thought, oh, that's nice, she's hands-on. Then 4 people in front of me was a girl who'd come back because her photo wasn't right for some reason. Then there was 3 guys who were together, sort of middle-aged, my age, possibly a bit older, in front of me, and then me. The girl who'd come back round, she wanted a specific pose and it hadn't worked or something, so she did that again, and it was sort of, the girl who was shorter than Ivana was in front, and Ivana sort of draped herself round her like that, almost headlocky but huggy, if that makes sense. And it worked and it was fine. So the first of the 3 guys said, oh, I'll have exactly the same one, but they did it in a sort of jokey, more headlocky manner. And then the next 2 guys had a big hug, and they were all laughing and joking, and so I went up and I said, well, I might as well follow the pattern, and had a big hug with her, and this is it. And he's my favourite photo from a weekend for very obvious reasons. Came out of there, thought, right, have a look at my James Caan picture, open it up, and as you can see, because I'm now going to show you it, there's a reason why I didn't show you it before, he had his eyes closed. If I'd A, had the time, and B, spotted it first time, it would have been fine. They'd have just ripped the photo up and told me to go around again. You know, it's not Showmaster's fault at all. It's just bad luck that the shoot was overrunning. I had to be on the other side, so I couldn't check the photo. Even if I checked it there and then, I wouldn't have had time to go round again anyway. Because I wouldn't have got Ivana's, I don't think. So I'm gutted. You can still see it's James Caan. It's not a terrible photo, apart from the fact his eyes are closed. I'm going to have a play, see if I can get another shoot, if somebody posts another shoot from the same session, or if from the other sessions he did, they're similar enough, and I'll try and Photoshop him so he's got open eyes. If I manage to do that, I think, I'm not entirely sure if it's able, but I'll put the picture in the comments below if I can, or a link to it anyway, if I do successfully manage to play with it, but that'll be probably at the weekend. I'll probably get around to doing that. Anyway, so yeah, so that was James and Ivana's photo shoots. Had a quick look. I didn't have long anyway, but I had a quick look, see what was happening with autograph queues, and no luck with any. So headed round to my next shoot, which was Rory McCann's shoot. Nothing major to explain about this, except there's a couple young, probably teenagers, boy and girl in the queue behind me, who thought they were going in to be able to have a selfie with him that they would take on their phone. So I sort of had to explain to them, no, you're not allowed your phone out in there, you have to put your phone away, you've paid for a professional photo. That will be a printed photo with them. Oh, okay. Oh, but I need it for my Xbox profile. So we just have to take a photo of a photo then, won't you? Oh, yeah, okay. Not in a, you know, nasty, stupid way, but yes. But other than that, as you can see, you can really see how tall he is now, because this is me and him. So I'm 5'8". Then I could scoot round, and I was able, then I was lucky. I've had quite a weekend of being lucky, of being in the right place at the right times with autograph queues. It was about 2:45, and Sam Neill, who, if you remember, I had a photo with on Saturday, they'd opened his queue because he was going at 3:30. So it was a case of, if you need him, you need to get him now and get him a queue, and good luck. basically. So I had time. My next shoot ran from 3 to 4, so I thought even if I'm in the queue to half 3, I've still got half an hour to play with, so I'm fine. So I joined the queue as it was. It only took about 10 minutes to go through. Obviously went for a Jurassic Park photo with Sam, but love his work in so many things. Riley Ace of Spies, The Tudors, Hunt for Red October, lots and lots of stuff. Not that I've seen it, but he was in Peaky Blinders. As I say, so many things. Brilliant actor, very nice man. Wasn't overly chatty because I was conscious that there were other people who needed him, but you know, said hi and he said thank you, and you know, just general pleasantries. But yep, this is the photo he signed for me. Then my final photo shoot, having been able to get Pearl earlier, was with Peter Capaldi. By this stage I knew I wasn't getting his autograph. He's been brilliant with people all weekend, taking time with everyone, doing nice proper autographs. Some people he was sort of drawing. He's a very good caricaturist, and sometimes he does pictures of, he's known as eyebrows, because the introductory shot in The Day of the Doctor 50th anniversary special, they put an insert of him. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about anyway. If you haven't seen it, it won't really make sense. But at one point all the Doctors get together to protect Gallifrey, and they show shots of them all in their TARDIS, and because Peter technically hadn't started yet, they just did a quick insert, and it was just his eyebrows basically, and his eyes. And ever since, his eyebrows have been a running joke, and as I say, he sometimes draws a little cartoon of his eyes and eyebrow with his autograph, and he was doing that for some people over the event. Yeah, but he was, as I say, he was taking time. He had lots of photo shoots and talks and things as well over 2 days, so he had limited signing time. But as I say, it was more than apparent, even though I had number, what did I have, 116, so for lots of people it would have been possible. Lots of other guests would quite easily get to that number. For him, it wasn't going to happen, and I believe he had to stay on. Oh, well, I think he stayed on anyway, just to get all the diamond passes done. So I already knew I had no chance. As I mentioned, I think in one of the other videos, I've got Peter's autograph. I met him at the stage door when I saw him in The Lady Killers, which was before he was the Doctor. So I have got his autograph, so I wasn't majorly concerned, much as I would have liked him on a Doctor Who picture. And I'm sure he'll be back. In which case I might bite the bullet and get a diamond pass for him, just to make sure. But yes, so but I had the photo with him, and again he was being brilliant with everybody, saying hi and what have you, but also doing poses. Anybody who went up with a sonic screwdriver, he didn't even need asking, he just sort of grabbed it and turned it on and did a pose. You'll see women sometimes they ask for hugs, which is fine, and he was doing that. Otherwise he was tending to do the pose that you'll see in my picture. In front of me were a group of people who were all dressed up as characters from A Prisoner. I made 2 of them had solo shoots, and then they had a shoot with 5 of them, and they had a rover, one of the big inflatable balls, with them. Obviously not a full-size one, but it was about yay big. And he sort of grabbed that and held it behind it, and he's joining in, and he said, right, let's pretend we're running from it. And they gave him a little badge with 12 on it, which was clever and appropriate, and so he held that up. And yeah, so yeah, he was really getting into the spirit of it and was clearly enjoying it. And yeah, when I went up, he said hi, and he did propose, and he was the pose he's done, as you'll see in the picture, and he said cool, he's going, you know, he was clearly just having a blast. And this is the photo. So yes, so I already knew I wasn't going to get Peter's autograph. It was now about 3:10. I headed over to Meatloaf's area, who was the autograph eluding me all weekend. I've been checking through the day, and he'd been stuck on 1 to 50 for ages. Every time I went past, he wasn't even at his desk. I know he had, you know, photo shoots and what have you to do, and lunch and what have you. But I looked, and I was number 52, and I thought, do I wait around a bit longer on the off chance, or do I just give up and go home? So I thought, right, well, I'll go and have a wander around the stalls, because I hadn't had a proper look. So I went and had a proper look and went up and down every aisle, and all I bought was some fudge, because I can't go to the con and not buy fudge, as you'll know from previous year's videos. Wandered back up, he still wasn't there, it was still on 1 to 50, he had a massive queue. I think a lot of the problem was that lots of his fans went just to meet him, and as such, A, they didn't know really how the system worked, and B, they weren't really interested in anything else. You know, they're Meatloaf fans, they're not sci-fi fans, or some of them obviously would have been, but a lot of them weren't. And so they just loitered, even though they weren't being called. What you do, because you've got your virtual queue ticket with your number on, you go up, see if you can do it. If you can, you join the queue. If not, you bugger off and you go and do something else until your number's called. That's the whole idea of it. But no, what they were doing was, oh, my number's not been called yet, I'm going to stand just outside the queue and wait and wait and wait. So he was getting massive people just queuing around. They're all clutching copies of Bat Out of Hell and wearing Meatloaf t-shirts. They're clearly proper Meatloaf fans. And I just thought, fuck it. I was tired, it's been a long 3 days, my feet were hurting, I was a sweaty mess. So I left. So that was it. So I didn't get Meatloaf's autograph, but again, I have a signed CD of his anyway that I bought from Amazon, I think it was. It was an Amazon exclusive when my album came out. So I've got, as I say, I've got his autograph. I just would have liked him on a Rocky Horror picture. But oh well, c'est la vie. But yeah, really enjoyed the weekend. Headed home. It was a nightmare getting out of London. But then once I was out onto the M4, it was fine all the way home. Coming the other way, it looked like it was a nightmare. It was big queues on the M25 and on the M3, but I was fine. Anyway, so I got home at a reasonable time, but as I say, I was wiped out. So that's why I'm filming this today. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed the 3 days. It had its moments. Saturday lunchtime and everybody was at lunch, and I didn't look like I was going to get anybody that I needed. I was a bit, right, this is it. This is my last year. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I just won't do the Saturday in the future. Well, if I don't do the Saturday, I'm going to miss out on loads of people. So I'll be there next year, I'm sure. Don't think there's going to be any more cons this year that I'll be going to. No, I don't think so. They're bringing back the spring London Comic Con, which is first weekend in March next year, which, if I've worked it out correctly, is my weekend off anyway, which is handy. So I'll almost certainly be going to that. There's already people there. Some of the people who cancelled this year for this con have been announced for there. So fingers crossed they make it. So always tend to find the people who are announced first are the most likely to cancel. So I'm not holding my breath, but we shall see. Yeah, I think that's it. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you only watch these videos, you haven't watched any of my other videos, feel free to give them a try. If you enjoy me rambling on about this, you might enjoy me rambling on about other stuff. There's a lot of autograph stuff on it anyway. Otherwise it's all music and film, really. Bit of TV. But yeah, give it a go. Subscribe, please. Like this video. And yes, thank you for watching. Bye.